What's up, everybody? Well, as you can see, I am at the lanes, and I got my buddy over here who's got this really awesome shirt. It's actually a Fred Flintstone shirt. Since you see him in the background, I might as well say something about it just because you can see him. But on today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my PAP and see how accurate it is, and then I'm probably going to get the thumb holes on my bowling balls plugged and then follow up with what it's like bowling with them after they've been plugged, considering they're asymmetrical. So I'll show you the balls that I'm going to get plugged, and then after that we're going to get them into the pro shop, get all the work done to them, and then when I pick them up the next time I come up bowling, I'm going to give you a little bit of footage on how they react after that, and we'll go from there so you can see what it's like plugging an asymmetrical ball when you get it from a thrift store and it already has a thumb hole in it. Alright, so I'll see you guys next time I'm up here. You guys take care. Alright, so check this out. I got my PAP set. I've got a couple of throws up with the tape so you can see where the PAP was and how accurate it was. So now I'm going to show you the two bowling balls that I'm going to drop off at the pro shop to get plugged. The first one I'm going to do is my Storm Invasion, and that one's right here. It's a pin-up ball and it's got a thumb hole on it, but it's also asymmetrical, so it has a mass bias point. So if I plug this thumb hole, it's going to turn the corner a little bit faster because of that mass bias. So I'm going to drop it off in the pro shop and get this thumb hole plugged and see if that's actually the case. The other ball that I'm going to do is going to be my old school original Black Widow, okay? This ball was produced by Hammer, and it was so good, in fact, that they went ahead and made the new Black Widow designed identical to the original. But same thing. I'm going to plug that thumb hole because my mass bias mark right here is closer to my PAP than the thumb hole is. So I'm going to try and get this ball plugged and see if it can turn the corner even faster than it already does. And it's a slight pin up and over ball. So I should be able to go far left and hook the turn a lot more into the pocket. So I'll follow up when I get these balls back. In the meantime, let me know what you think on whether you've ever plugged an asymmetrical ball to see if it changed anything on it, alright? I'll see you next time. What's up, everybody? Well, I'm back at the lanes, and it's been a week, mostly because of where I have to go. I've got to drive over an hour to get to the nearest lanes where there was a pro shop operator on staff from noon to 5 every day of the week. So I went ahead and dropped my bowling balls off to get the thumb holes plugged in them because I'm a no thumb bowler. So I just picked them up today, and I'm going to see what happens, whether it either mellowed them out a little bit or if plugging the holes gave it a little bit more weight so that it'll turn the corner a little bit harder. But I just figured I'd show you. Here's my original Black Widow, and that's where the plug is, right there. I know it's kind of hard to see on the camera, but there it is right there. And then my Storm Invasion. There's the plug mark on it right there from the old thumb hole. So we're going to give these a couple throws down the lane and see how they act, so that I know whether I'm going to plug them all and get different layouts on them, or if I'm just going to run with them the way they are. But I've never done this before with a bowling ball, so let's see what happens. What's up, everybody? Well, I'm at a different set of lanes today. It's been a week since I picked up my bowling balls to try them out, and I was a little under the weather the last time when I was trying them, so a lot of my throws probably weren't as good as they could have been. So I'm going to go ahead and follow up at a different set of lanes. The oil pattern at this set happens to be 40 foot versus 42 feet. The lanes are in fact burned, so there's oil all over the board. But I'm just going to go ahead and recap for you. I went ahead and I plugged my Storm Invasion's thumb hole on it so that I can rely on the PSA instead of the thumb hole being the primary PSA, hoping the ball would turn the corner a little bit faster. As you can see from the footage at the other lanes after I picked these up, that wasn't the case, but that's possibly because I was under the weather. So we're going to see what happens today with this one. Also, I have sanded this down to 500 grit so that it would actually hook on those lanes, and I'm going to see whether it's still going to do that, and I'm going to have to bring the surface up from 500 or not. And I also plugged the Black Widow. Okay, now same thing, this one had a little bit overpin. You guys know this ball from my other bowling videos when I talk about it, but the PSA was a little bit farther over, so I was hoping by plugging the thumb hole the PSA would take over and it would hook a little bit harder, but it seemed to be the same thing where the original PSA of the ball wasn't as powerful as having a thumb hole as a primary PSA. So basically they mellowed down. This one is also sanded down to 500 grit. So I'm going to take a couple of throws, I'm going to get warmed up, and then after that, in case you didn't catch it in any of my other videos, I'm going to show you how you mark your ball to find your PAP, and then we'll put a piece of tape on it and see if the PAP's changed or not, because mine happens to change a lot. Alright, so I'm going to take a couple throws. I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, so I got some pretty good rings on the ball from that strike. That was a really good throw. That was a lineup on 25 throwing to 15 because 30 to 15 wasn't working and 25 to 10 wasn't working. So I shortened it up a little bit. So basically what happened when I plugged this ball is it took a lot of the angle and everything out of the ball, and it kind of mellowed it down quite a bit. Considering where the pin location is, I was kind of expecting those results, but I wanted to just be sure. I really wanted to see how strong the PSA is on the gas mask core that Hammer has for the Black Widow series. Now I know. But I've got some really good oil rings here. So basically you're going to get one of these pencils if you're trying to find your own PAP, and you're literally going to find this oil ring right here that's closest to this finger holes, and you're going to go right over the top of it as straight as you possibly can and draw your line. You're going to follow that all the way around. So I've got it right here, just like that. And now you got to be careful, because if you notice, this line crosses over to this side of the ball. So right here, I'm going to go to that one and do that, because these rings cross over each other like this. So once you determine what your oil ring is, then you're going to go and turn your ball to the side that's going to be on basically the right of how you hold the ball, and you're going to find the top of the ball based off of that line not doing this, but actually centering out and going around in a complete circle without waving up and down. I have my ball marked with its PAP right here, which happens to be from the center of the bridge on the 2LS layout from Storm. It happens to be 6 inches over on the line. So I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of tape right here since I already have mine marked, and we're going to see how accurate it actually is, or whether it's changed that little bit. But like I said, you want the line on the ball to not be doing this, and you want it to be in a perfect ring, nice and flat as you spin the ball like that, and the very top of the ball is going to be where your PAP is. Alright, so I'm going to put a piece of tape on this, and then we're going to take a throw. Okay, so before I make this throw, I just want to let you know, when you put your little square piece of tape on it, you want that mark that you identified your PAP with the pencil. you want to make sure that's in the middle of the tape, okay? So because mine's already been marked, I went ahead and put a little pin dot where the indentation is on the ball, so you can see when the tape is over it that PAP is actually centered in the tape. So now it's time to take the throw. Well, as you can see, the PAP really didn't move at all. The tape is not exactly square, so it is really hard to see it perfectly centered. It does have a little bit of a wobble, but that tiny bit of wobble doesn't really make that much of a difference. So now anytime I have a ball drilled, I'll have them measure the PAP distance to the center of the bridge on this ball, and I'll have that next ball drilled off of the PAP distance for this ball. But now that that's all said and done, I'm going to switch over to the Storm Invasion. Since you saw what this ball does, it did take a lot of the continuation out of the pins, so I'm no longer splitting the 8-9 like I originally was. Now I'm kind of taking out the 9, going a little bit over to the 10. So it definitely weakened the hook on this ball just a little bit by about 4 to 5 boards max. 3 boards at the minimum, and definitely took some of the continuation out of the ball. So now I'm going to throw the Storm Invasion and see what happens. Alright, so I went ahead and I threw the Storm Invasion a couple times after I had it sanded down to 500 grit. Now this ball, I did the pin to PAP layout and the pin to PS, or the PAP to PSA layout, and what I ended up with is I ended up with a 5 3/4 pin to PAP and 5 3/4 pin to PSA. So this ball shockingly still hooks really well. So it's in the mid-range category of what my arsenal would be. My Black Widow ended up at the bottom of the totem pole, so now I don't have a super strong hooking ball in my arsenal, so I'll probably have to buy a new ball. And I could re-drill the Black Widow, but I honestly don't know if I really want to. I think I might keep it at the bottom of the totem pole with a nice smooth shape, keep the Storm Invasion with a mid-grade shape, and then go for something else later on down the line. But I will say I was shocked when I threw this ball and it came all the way back to the pocket from board 2. So anyway, I'm going to keep bowling, and I'll just let you guys know right now that if you decide you like a ball and it has a thumb hole in it and you really want a no thumb ball, but you really like the way the ball moves, just leave it alone. Don't even bother plugging it, because if you plug it, you're gonna take it down, especially if it's got a pin layout that far from the finger holes. But anyway, you guys let me know if you liked the video. If you did, leave a like on it. Hit that subscribe button if you're interested. Don't forget to share it with a friend, and I will see you next time. Take care. So I can honestly say that my Storm Invasion and my Black Widow changed about that much. So we're going to go ahead and give it 1 to 5 boards max. I did realize that if I increase the RPMs, I get a little bit more hook out of the ball. So from 490 to 530 up to, from 530 up to probably around 600 is what I have to put on the ball to get what I had before I had the thumb holes plugged. But for the most part, they're still super strong. They're just not as strong as they were when they had thumb holes in them, and that's totally okay. It gives me a reason to buy another ball. So I might just do that. But anyway, I just figured I'd let you guys know. These, after being plugged, they still got a lot of power. They just lack a little bit of the continuation, and I have noticed a 1 to 3 board for sure, and a 3 to 5 every once in a while when it comes to their overall hook, and the continuation dropped a little bit on the scale. Other than that, not that bad.